So your responsibility is to the business. Having canonical user journeys or jobs to be done meant really nothing. Zero recommendations. Like, who writes a report like that? You try to do your job properly. Hello, Voice of Setup here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a user experience researcher and I quit my job recently. Last week, I talked about how organizational structure and business leaders are undermining UX and reducing its effectiveness. In this video, I'll talk about the mistakes UX researchers are making that contribute to the perception that UX research doesn't add value to the business. Let's dive in. Okay, number one, user experience researchers and designers as well. But again, I'm focusing on the research side here. They need to understand the business, period. You have to understand how your team, your product, your feature is making money. If you don't understand that, you're gonna fall flat with your insights, with your data. People just go out there and they say, we are the voice of the customer. Customer needs XYZ and you have to do XYZ, but the team doesn't do that XYZ. And the reason being, doing XYZ doesn't move the needle for the business. You don't increase revenue, right? So you need to understand how the business is making money. And there are different ways that you can increase your revenue. You need to understand what those ways are, and which one or ones or in what ratio your organization is employing those. So your responsibility is to the business more than to the user. I know this sounds for some people really controversial. It isn't. The business is paying your salary and you are hired to make sure that you provide value to the team, to the product. And your value obviously comes from understanding the user and understanding what's best for them, but pushing for things that's not going to move the needle for the business is not a good thing for you. And I've heard so many product managers complain that their user experience researcher is being a blocker. They don't understand it. If they don't release that feature as is, the customer doesn't have a way of doing something that is really crucial for them to be able to do. So in those cases, you have to let go and let the team do what they need to do and be supportive. Another mistake the user experience researchers make is not being flexible enough at certain times. Being able to cut corners is important, but it's crucial to understand that you're cutting the right corners and not the wrong ones. And you are open about the shortcomings of your study or the implication of cutting those corners, right? You may not be able to do everything perfectly. And perfect doesn't exist anyway. But perfectionism is a big problem. One of the things that I see is that the researchers are afraid to go and do fast and quick studies. There are ways that you can do research fast, and maybe that involves looking at the existing research. Maybe that involves doing an online research and get whatever you can find from some blog posts, other researchers who might have published things about that, opinion pieces, etc., and get an idea. Sometimes reading other products, user manuals or documentation can be useful, and you need to summarize it to give others a sense of what the competitors are doing, and that can be done quite fast as well. So finding ways to move fast is important, because sometimes people need data fast, not because they didn't involve you from the beginning, but it just came up in the last minute, and they're coming and asking you, hey, is there anything you can do here? And I've done last minute surveys and things like that to help my stakeholders through certain humps. Even if you don't need to deliver your research fast, I've seen people just spend so much time on writing their reports and tweaking it, trying to make this perfect. Good quality work doesn't mean it's perfect. High quality work doesn't need to be perfect. Not being a perfectionist doesn't mean you do a sloppy job. Absolutely not. You have to do high quality work no matter how fast you're doing it. And you have to communicate it well. You need to write properly. I've seen so many research reports, one who did not analyze the data in a way that provides insights. And I've seen user experience research reports with 0 recommendations for the team. Like, who writes a report like that? I've seen research reports that talks about the methods in the beginning, or the presentations where the researcher talks about the methods and goes on and on and on about what they did, who they talked to. These are important and it should be in the report. However, when you're presenting this to your stakeholders, to your business partners, you don't talk about those things in the beginning. You talk about the most important findings and immediately tell them what they came there to learn. And that should be insights. I've seen researchers do research and not communicate with their stakeholders until they were done with the report. That's a big mistake. You should be updating them as often as you can. But it's good to summarize the findings from each session. Teams find value in that. After each session or after each few sessions, you can just send them some summaries, bullet points, what have you, just to give them an idea of what's going on. And then at the end, when you write the report, just make sure that the most important findings are clear, what the insights are, how they should action on these results. That is extremely important. So I don't care what shape the report is in, as long as it gives the most important findings up front and it provides insights, not just the data, and it tells the stakeholder what action they should take. So recommendations that are actionable. One other thing that I'm going to mention, there are user experience researchers waste time on useless tasks. So don't do that. People do certain things because that might look good in their promotion packets when they're going up for a promo, but it has no value to anyone. Or they do it and then again, it didn't have any impact whatsoever. It just looks good on paper. In my last job, one summer, this senior UX director pulled hundreds of people of what they were doing, and she said, okay, we're gonna create canonical critical user journeys and canonical jobs to be done for our business unit, and our senior VP asked for this. Knowing the senior VP, being in meetings with him, I was 99.9% sure that he did not ask for this. My guess was that she pitched it to him and he probably said, sure, fine. And I'm sorry if this sounds cynical. People started working on it, and I've attended a few meetings to see what's going on because I wanted to be supportive, but it immediately became clear that no one knew why we were doing that. And the business unit at that point was so large, so many different types of users. Having canonical user journeys or jobs to be done meant really nothing. If you created that, who's gonna use that? It's too high level. It's not useful to any particular team. 2 months into this, she had to call it off. So she said, oh, we have some other priorities. We can't work on this now. All that time wasted. And I am guessing this was gonna look good on someone's resume. Or their promotion packet. Again, I'm sorry for being cynical, but I've been around the block long enough that I can see these things. One more thing I'm going to mention is that doing the right type of research is important, and there is a Medium article that I'm going to link that talks about this, and I agree with a lot of the things the author says. Let me look up the name of the author quickly. Judd Anton. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. But it's a Medium article, and the title is "The UX Research Reckoning is Here." And he says that we've been doing the wrong type of research. We need to be doing more strategic research and more usability type research. So he is saying there is a business impact of having useful, usable, beautiful products. Let's focus on that. And he says, let's focus on also strategic work that basically does in-depth research to identify opportunities and help business make decisions. And I agree with that, though I don't think that user experience researchers should allocate a lot of time for usability research. Usability is important, and I personally like those studies, but if you especially take a senior researcher and have them only do usability or mostly do usability studies, you're going to lose that talent. Only doing usability studies is also going to limit the impact you can have on business. So there has to be a good balance. Things like product excellence and, satisfaction, important to keep the pulse, especially for certain features and products more than others. But I think considering how valuable a researcher's time is, and there are so many asks, that they have to prioritize the type of research that's going to have the biggest impact on the business. I want to mention that UX leaders are also responsible for the current state. There are many leaders who don't understand what helping to business means and value useless tasks. They don't have a clear UX strategy. UX teams should have a strategy that is developed in collaboration with the product and engineering leaders. Without it, product and engineering leaders are clueless about what the user experience research and user experience teams are doing. Just to summarize, the current state of UX is unfortunately not great. What we do feels like uphill battle all the time, trying to prove your value, try to do your job properly and get involved in a way that the organization should involve you, but they don't. There are some, hurdles along the way of doing a really good job. But then there are also things that the UX researchers have been doing that caused the current state as well, and that is not being flexible, not communicating properly, not doing the right type of research, and also not understanding the business. And these are things that we need to focus on and become better at. Again, your responsibility is to the organization that you're working for, and what you are saying and producing doesn't help the business in any way, that means you are not adding value. And it's as simple as that. You need to be positioned in a way that's going to help you be successful, and organizations are not doing a very good job setting up UX people for success. That's it for this video. Just go out there and do your best work, and hopefully people will appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.